the Director of Office of Trade and Manufacturing Policy, and he joins me now. Peter, it's good to see you, sir. Thanks for joining us.
Good morning, Maria.
Tough week for markets on these policies. What are people missing, Peter?
I do think it was an overreaction based on incomplete information. You have a virtuous cycle of global synchronized growth. As you talked about earlier, you have an incredible policy of the Trump administration. I mean, let's look at the 4 points of the compass. We've got tax cuts. President Trump orchestrated one of the most brilliant tax cuts in history. What we're going to see from that is strong investment in 2018 and 2019, driving productivity growth, and it will be non-inflationary, so that's growth-inducing. You have a supply-side positive stimulus with the great deregulation efforts that President Trump is orchestrating.
Right.
And we have the energy unleashed here, so we'll have lower manufacturing costs and lower consumer costs. Then you go to trade. Now, before we get to China, which is important, let me just point out that President Trump, this is brilliant, he's getting NAFTA renegotiated. We're going to get a good deal out of that. He's renegotiating the horrible Korean deal, and it looks like we're going to get a very good result on that. Yeah. We had a 201 investigation on solar and washing machines in January where we imposed tariffs. And what President Trump got out of that, guess what? A flood of new foreign investment here to build American factories to make things with American hands. The 232, which was for the aluminum and steel industry, is absolutely necessary to defend our aluminum and steel industries against a flood of imports. And that's important both for national security and economic security, and we've succeeded there. And now we've tackled, interestingly enough, a problem which there appears to be widespread agreement on, right and left. China's stealing our stuff.
Should you have done this first? Should you have done China first instead of aluminum and steel? Because aluminum and steel, most people say, was too broad, and that's what's creating all the uncertainty.
Look, in terms of sequencing, this is unfolding the way the president sees it strategically. I mean, think of all the balls that are in motion that are pointing to a great rebalancing of our trade. The fundamental problem structurally, which we've had for the last 15 years around the world, is massive trade imbalances fueled by unfair and non-reciprocal trade practices, not just by China, but by many of our trading partners.
But you said we weren't going to see any retaliation. You told me on my morning program on the Fox Business Network, we're not going to see any of these countries retaliate. They're not going to mess with their surpluses. And yet we did see that. China came out last week and said, yeah, we're going to retaliate on $3 billion worth of products.
And that retaliation, as some people have described it, is muted. But at the end of the day, China is a sovereign nation. It has to make a choice about how it wants to proceed in the global economy. I think it's important to recognize here that it's not just the United States who is tired of having China steal their stuff, tired of having their foreign corporations go into China and have forced technology transfer occur. And all we're trying to do, the President's vision here, it's stunningly brilliant, because what he's trying to bring about is a fundamental reordering of the global trading system in a way which focuses on free markets, fair trade, and reciprocal trade, and that's not what we have there. So for the markets, when they look at the chessboard here, it's really important to understand that everything the president does every morning that he goes to work is all centered around driving economic growth and creating jobs, not just here in America, but around the world.
Yeah, no, I understand the China stuff. I mean, there are 10 industries, robotics, AI, that China wants to be #1 in. And so I understand that. But do you need to do deals with Vietnam, the Philippines, and Japan, as Devin Nunes just said earlier in the program, to offset what we could lose from China?
As part of the overall trade strategy, and Ambassador Robert Lighthizer is basically the architect of this with President Trump, we are going to be doing great deals bilaterally with countries around the world. That's all part of the canvas of trade that the president is painting in a beautiful picture. But look at all the things we are already engaged in. NAFTA, Chorus, It's amazing. We got aluminum and steel defended. We basically are using the 201s to protect ourselves from unfair import surges. And this 301, I mean, this Section 301 that Ambassador Lighthizer and the President are moving forward is brilliant. We're finally attacking a problem which will basically help guarantee our economic future and our national security future.
All right, we're going to be watching this. I guess with all of the uncertainty, markets first sell and then they analyze later. Peter, we'll keep following it. We're going to speak to you soon. Thank you so much for weighing in this morning, Peter Navarro. So why did they spend all that money? The massive spending bill, it is benefiting the military. Where will it benefit most? General Jack Keane will join me next.